Welcome to Bullets Nation, the podcast by Bullets fans for Bullets fans. I'm your host, Tracy Malone, a Bullets member since we came back into the league 11 years ago. In sporting teams, players change, coaches change, and staff move on. We don't, Bullets fans. We're the constant. We've been here since the early days, and we'll still be here when the next banner goes up. This is our space to talk about our club in depth. No 30-second hot takes. We're here for real hoops chat. We love this club. We argue, we cheer, we ride every run, and we carry every loss. Win or lose, we show up. So settle in, suit up. If you're Bullets family, you're at home here. This is Bullets Nation. And I'd like to tip off, as always, by welcoming my co-host, Cameron Pawluck. Hey, Cam.
Hello. Thank you. It's always good to be here talking Bullets.
It is, hoops. And it feels like we've actually begun. We've got a game under our belt now. Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about this episode. We've got a lot to get through. So we're going to answer some listeners' questions, and then you're going to tell us all about the Foundation members event. We'll cover the Bullets membership forum. Then we'll take a look at the Bullets' first preseason game against NBL1 North Select. Then we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about the spend of all clubs over the last 3 seasons in the league. And so we're going to get to that. First, I just wanted to say thank you for the feedback on the new intro for the podcast. I had lots of people messaging and emailing in saying, awesome. If I can get enough content, I will change it each episode. So everywhere there's a little slot there, I can put new photos in. So if you'd like to appear on the intro of the podcast, please send me through some pictures. You can do it via DM on any of our socials, or you can email me. It's bulletsnationpodcast@gmail.com. So send me things in and I'll get them up. I will get them up.
Yeah.
So
you caught me. You caught me out a little bit with that, because there's a little bit of video that you took when we sat courtside that I did not realise you had captured, and I must have clearly been getting into the game because I was yelling something out, and I'm just like, I didn't know you'd caught that. Yeah. You were locked in. So was I, just on slightly different things in that moment. Yeah. Because I didn't actually know what I had, because I take video at a game and I've had in my mind, I need some content because I want to put together an intro. I've been thinking about it all last season. So I've been, grabbing content, and courtside is such an awesome opportunity to do that. And then I just didn't realise what I had. And then I went to put it together last Sunday and I was like, oh, I didn't know I had that either, actually. Look at what I've got. And I've also got, you've sent me, when I opened up our shared drive, I saw some photos in there that you've got. So there's more coming. There's some good stuff coming. Yep. And it's just a great way to build a bit more awesomeness. All right, let's get into it. So we're going to talk about some comments that some people had, which they asked really good questions. And Nick Berger asked one on Facebook. And there's some really good talking points following our last episode. Thank you. We appreciate it. And we want to have these discussions. So line them up. Bring it on. He asked, who's the up-and-coming Aussie coach given a chance on the Bullets bench? There doesn't appear to be one. Yeah, so this has been talked about across the NBL media a little bit of late, and I saw some video of Scott Roth talking about it during this week, where he actually admitted that he's been part of the problem. He was also an assistant coach for many years as a non-Aussie. So he had talked about this, so I thought it fitting that it would come up.
And he was offered a Boomers job and said no, give it to an Aussie.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And so for me, for the Bullets, I'd actually argue that Dr. Marcus Klusmann, as a dual citizen, is our Aussie assistant coach. So he's actually cut his teeth quite a bit over here in Australia when he was out doing his PhD. So I'm not 100% sure where he was born or anything, but I get the feeling that, he's a dual citizen. He's worked for basketball ACT as an assistant coach and head coach for the under-18s men's. He was also part of the Australian Paralympic Committee team as a sports science support and strength training specialist for the team that went to Sochi. He was an assistant coach for the Centre of Excellence. He was assistant coach for the Canberra Capitals, technical assistant coach for the Emus under-19s men's.
So, yes, I sort of look at him as that Aussie assistant on the team.
Yeah. Yep. I think so too. And, you know, I'm always going to back Aussie coaches and giving them a go. I really am. And we have given a lot of Aussie coaches a go. And with all due respect to them, we are where we are. We got where we've got to in the last 11 years with Aussie coaches as head coaches and as assistant coaches. So we needed an overhaul in the coaching area. I am fully behind every one of our coaches because of their credentials, and they are what we need for a rebuild. I don't care if they come from the moon or Mars or the planet Zygon. I honestly do not care. I need people who can deliver us a team and build a foundation. So I hear you completely, Nick, on where are the Aussie coaches. It's really important. We're doing it initially through players as well. We're seeing, like we've been raging for years about all of these elite development players leaving Brisbane because there's not a program worth signing up for here where they can actually get anywhere. And that's changing now. So we can't have every single thing ticked. And this is one I'm okay to go, well, I'd rather have international coaches and be in the finals rather than giving Aussies a go and finishing bottom 3 for another 11 seasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my honest opinion, it's a luxury that top teams can discuss. You know, teams who've got loads of money and loads of options and that kind of stuff, they need to be bringing that through. Talk to Sydney, Perth, Adelaide, Tassie, Southeast Melbourne, yeah. Another great question. Who's stepping in for Norton as a backup point guard if he goes down, and also with an eye to the future?
Yeah, so this is where I think guys like Josh and Rio can step in, especially Josh, having seen what he's been doing in the NBL1 and then what he showed while he was over in Austria. I think he's sort of the divas this season where he can do that decent backup as a point guard and step in if Nordo does happen to go down. You know, I'd still be hoping we'd have Nordo on the bench providing that support and leadership and guidance from there, just to help guide those guys, which is what he was doing with Divas last season as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're our backups.
Yeah. Yeah. And Divas as well, he's not done and dusted. You know? No. There's every possibility he can come back. He's just cutting his teeth over in America and making some coin. I have a full expectation that Divas will return to the Bullets one day. So, yeah, I think we're good in that spot. Fine.
Yes, yeah, I do too. And then Mort asked us about turnovers when looking at the stats for each player. So I must admit I did think of that last week when I was putting all of those stats together, but I, for some reason, just left it out. So I do have those. Mind me here, I was doing all this last night while I was very tired. And when I am tired, my brain goes into stupid places. So I have nicknames here next to everyone. So we've got shin pads.
Because I only know about 3 of these here. I knew shin pads, Darrell, Smacktain, and I'm like, incredible, yeah. I'm like, the rest, I'm not sure. Not sure who they are.
Yeah.
You tell us.
So shin pads. Nordo at 1.6 turnovers. Tyrell at 2.1. That's his overseas stint. I didn't grab the NBL ones for last season. Smack was 0.9. Tane at 1.9. Incredible at 1.3. Kanga is Harry Ruliadef. So Kanga Ruliadef. That was actually thrown in the Bullets Nation podcast chat a little while ago, and I've quite liked having his nickname as Kanga. Lat at 0.5, Hinto, obviously Nate, at 1.4. The Diamonator is pretty obvious who I am talking about. That is Arnis. Now, if you want to know how I got there, this is how my brain goes when I am tired.
Because I don't even know what a Diamonator is, so I'm ready for the ride. Educate me, Cam.
So obviously, I was looking at his name, Arnis, and you know, Aussie nicknames usually Arnie for someone like Arnis, Arnie, Arnie, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger is the Terminator. Arnis is an assist king, so he is throwing those dimes, so he is the Diamonator.
All right. Gotcha.
I know it is stupid, but this is how my mind works, so please forgive me.
But that's also how Aussie nicknames work. When people go, where did you get that from? I'm like, oh, so it starts back here, and then you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. And they're like, what? I'm like, it's a thing.
Yeah. So here's at 3.4 turnovers, which is about a 2.3 to 1 assist to turnover ratio, which is pretty good for someone of his level as a point guard. And how many, his usage rate and so forth. J-Dub, which is Jalen Williams at 1.3, and Lil Mac 2.0, which is Sam McKinnon.
I like
his dad
Lil Mac.
would be
That's pretty cute.
Mac Daddy.
Yeah.
So, yes.
I love it.
I do have other, like I said, I was having some fun with it. I was been a little bit sick this week and a little bit tired, so my brain goes into weird places.
Yeah, we need more of that, please. That's fine.
And so I had the foundation members event on Saturday last week, just after we had recorded our first episode. So once we finished up here, I ran out and headed off to that. So it was at the High Performance Centre. We had Will, Holt, Harry and Nate all there for us to have a talk to. We had a Q&A with all four of them, as well as Mel. The chat,
how many people
the Q&A
came?
was quite interesting. I think there was about 20 or so. I didn't really do a head count, but I think about 20. It was on a Saturday sort of afternoon. The Lions were playing that afternoon, although that was set for... It was about an hour and a half after the thing was meant to finish up, so you could have headed straight there if you had tickets. The Q&A was interesting. That most of what was covered in the Q&A was sort of covered in the members forum, so we'll get through some of that when we get to that. I got to have a nice chat with Will before the Q&A, though. He actually came over to the table I was sitting at. I was sitting there with another foundation member. Shout out to Jason. And, he came over, asked if he could sit down. We just talked about the coaching staff and how it's not just the coaching staff, but it's the others that they've brought in to help, and that they've got 6 other full-time staff helping out. Once again, I think we'll talk about that a little bit more from the members forum. But, there's physios, medical, nutritionists, and then there's a bunch of interns that are there helping out as well, helping the staff put everything together, ensuring that, the team are getting the best possible help everywhere they turn. He talked about the scrimmage that they had the night before and the intensity of it and how everyone stayed to the very end, and also the effort that everyone is putting in around the team. That he left quite late that night, and when he left there was still a couple of interns there working hard, getting smoothies and meals ready for the guys who were coming in for recovery. And there were a couple of his staff in the next room while we were at the members event who were there working through video from the scrimmage and so forth. And he had said he had killed his laptop 2 or 3 times already that morning going through video and so forth. So the effort that they are all putting in is quite high. And he's really the first coach since Lamanis who's, actually come over to have a chat. Usually you've got to go to them to have a chat, but he was the first that I've seen since Lamanis. It does.
It's what used
really
to annoy
says a
me
lot.
about the open training sessions for members when they used to do them at Nissan. Is Lamanis was the only one who would just hang around for a chat because I love the players, but everyone goes to the players. I want to talk to the other people. I want to go a little bit higher than that. I always want to get a little bit in with, I like to go a little bit deeper. So, and they would just walk away. I just watch them walk away going, are you kidding me? Like, you're the one I wanted to talk to. Yeah, so that's impressive. It just says a lot, doesn't it? And what I'm hearing is the feeling I've had about Will Weaver is that he is a details man. It's super intelligent people, and I got to keep going back to the things he is doing is reminding me of Cheryl Reeves in the WNBA. And if anyone knows the Minnesota Lynx in the WNBA, they are a dynasty, and she has coached there for years, and she will coach there until she probably dies because she is that good, and her attention to detail is what other people would call extreme, and you have to be ready to play her way when you get there, but it works. They are 6 games in the lead.
right now.
Yeah.
They are an elite. And that's what I'm hearing about Will. He's giving me those vibes. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So during the Q&A, the players were asked about their experience with and how it's been with this preseason and how it's compared to other seasons and other places they've been. And I thought Nate's answer sums it all up pretty well. And he said that, he's played in the G League, he's played in the NBA, he's played over in Europe and so forth. And this preseason is up there. He's like, it's one of the best he's been a part of and come into. So that says a lot about where this team is headed and how much work and effort Will and his team are doing that, getting the team ready for the season.
Yeah, because there's, when you've got a staff around you that are that attention to detail and that elite, well, you have to rise to it, don't you?
That's it. And it was one of the things that I think Will did say, that every player wants to be there. They are not there for the money. He's like, they all could have gone elsewhere for more money. They are there because they want to be there and they've got stuff to prove.
Yeah. And in all the interviews I've seen of each player, why did they choose to come? They said, you need to go where you wanted the most.
Yeah.
Like, it's not always about the money. You need to go where you're wanted the most. So it's that's a two-way street there. So, yeah.
Yes, very much so. So we got to have a shoot around on the court as well with the players, and I managed to have a chat with all three of them. They're all super nice. We know Holt. He's a great guy. Harry's very down to earth, very, very easy to approach. He was asked about what position he plays, and he's like, so the 4 spot as well as a bit of 5. And I asked him if there was a chance that he might play any spot minutes at the 3, because I mentioned in last episode that I thought he could, as, if we wanted to go big with the team and really stretch that floor. And he said it's quite possible. He's just, if that was required, that's where he would play. It just all depends on what the coach wants. And he said that Will has a very positionless style of game that they're looking at playing. So he could wind up in that spot for certain if that's what they need. I asked Nate a similar thing as to where he would play the most, and it was a very similar answer. It's just wherever he was needed and whatever fit they needed from him. And Holt did reassure me that he is working on his 3-ball. I did mention to him that was one of the things in the podcast that I had asked for him to improve on, and he assured me he is working on it quite hard. So that was really great. I also must admit I was shooting some free throws while I was there having a chat with him, and I shanked one very much off to the right. It was a horrible one, and I'm like, of all people to give the players grief on their free throws, and I shot something like that, and he had a bit of a laugh, and he's like, it's not as easy as it looks, and I'm like, I get that. And he did tell me of a story down in Tassie where he was playing quite well. He got fouled. He got sent to the free throw line, and he said he missed the first one. And he's like, and then the Hungry Jack's chant starts. And he's like, and then your hands, the ball gets a little bit slipperier. He's like, it's quite hard. So I said I'd ease up a little bit on them this season with that.
Yeah.
And he's
well,
like,
we could ease up,
but yes.
Or we could give a little tool. So I would give a little tool in that moment, and I would go just close the door, just shut the door on the crowd, and give yourself a little bit of a hype. Yeah?
So,
and just go, it's okay. No matter, I'm a professional basketball player. I've shot this 5,000 times, and it really doesn't matter what happens. I'll just go again. Yeah. We're not expecting you all to be perfect, but we're going to push you to be close.
Yeah. And it's why I like the foundation member event and things like that, is because you do get to spend those types of moments with the players, and you build some genuine connection with them. So so it was a really good little event.
Yep,
and
that's great.
As I always say, it's great that the club continues to put that on for us.
Yeah, I don't think it's Well, I've heard word on the street. It's not their favourite thing to do, but they're still doing it, and that's all that matters. Even though the people in control now, we're not the ones who created foundation members, it's like you need to honour it. And it's great that they're still doing it, because that would really be terrible if they didn't. We would have a lot to say about that. And the members forum, on Wednesday night we had the members forum. The Bullets have been so incredibly consistent in putting these on. I always thank them. I'm like, it's 6 o'clock at night, like I'm sitting here cooking dinner, but you guys all have to show up as well. We had Norto there, and Will, and Mal and team. So you had memberships, and Kate's GM of something. She does a great job in there of something. And so we began, and Will came in, and he said the club's assembled a basketball operations and performance group around the playing roster. We now know that Patrick Wood as the physiotherapist and Graham Russo as part of the performance group, Marcus Klusmann as high performance manager, Hanu Motala and Alex Grossman in coaching operations roles, and referred to the part-time nutrition, sports psychology and medical support. Sports psychology, get on to those free throws. He described a holistic player wellness, health and performance objective. So it really is, they're looking at it from a holistic perspective, and it's just refreshing, it's just refreshing. It's the word, it's like, breath of fresh air is just walk through the door when Will starts speaking. You feel like you're in good hands. Yep. Aldo said he was excited by the youth coming through the door and saw part of his role as passing on information from international and Boomers experience. He described Arnis as an elite point guard and said the group did not regard him as overlooked.
Yeah, and it's why I think people have been really sleeping on our bench, is that, yes, they are young, little bit inexperienced at this level, but there's a lot of talent in that team, in those young guys, and I just think they are the future of the NBL, or possibly even elsewhere out there in the world. If Max doesn't make the NBA, I'd be really surprised in the next year or two. And I do feel like the league now are starting to realise and put some respect on Arnis and who he is. I'm starting to see a little bit more of that bleeding into the NBL media, and them realising that he is a genuine threat to the league this season.
Yeah. I think the thing when I watched NBL now is because so much of the team is new, we just don't know. And that's what I love the most about the Bullets, is there are 4 or 5 players here that we've never seen play in the NBL. It's not like they're rotating through and we kind of know what we're getting. It's like they've never played here before. So as long as their game translates, and it will, because Will chose players where development was a part of their natural personality that they're willing to develop. And so that's why I'm not worried about anyone who is not used to the league yet, because of the type of player they are. So it's like every time I come up with but what about this? I'm like, he's already answered that. Our coaching staff has answered it, and that's where it gets really exciting.
Yeah.
So Will Weaver went on to say he was not dogmatic about one style and would let the players' strengths and weaknesses shape the approach. He described the group as smart, sounds like what I said, big and hard playing. I want a little bit more of the hard playing, though, when we get to that later. And flagged 40 minutes of relentless on-ball defense, offensive rebounding and pace. He said the team did not have one obvious social media superstar, and that he liked the idea of a group greater than the sum of its parts, which is what we spoke about last time.
Yeah, and that's right. It's going to be a by committee type thing, not just 1 or 2 players out there doing everything. It'll be the whole team, everyone contributing where they need to.
Which is sustainability. Like, it's what every good, great team needs. I think it was Sue who asked about defence. We've been told that defence is the mainstay and it is the most important thing. And we've been told it's going to change and we're going to be amazing. And we've been in the bottom 10 defensively consistently for 11 seasons now. So she asked the rhetoric or is there real improvement? And Norto came in to speak about this, and he contrasted the current approach with previous years. He said the focus was less on reacting to every opponent's scout. So basically what he said was we'd usually watch video and our defense for every game would depend on who it was we were playing. And he said the focus now is less on reacting to every opponent's scout and more on the Bullets' own defensive impact, describing the system as hard to sustain for long stretches and based on short, intense shifts. He called the preseason's defensive intensity night and day compared with what he had previously experienced. Weaver added that the roster had many players with an appetite to pressure the ball. And I cannot believe that this has not been a part of a team for the last years. I think it shocked me to hear that. I was like, you are not stamping your own defensive presence on the game? Of course you make adjustments in scout, but you have to have a defensive precedence as how you like to do, like what? Yeah, I was really shocked to hear that and really disappointed and really excited all at the same time that we are where we are now, because that is terrible. In my opinion, that wasn't there before. Weaver went on to say the club's respective edge was freshness. And he went through and he told us about all the things they're doing differently. And I'm not going to speak to them all on the podcast because I did ask a question later and I said, it's amazing. I'm very excited. I want that tour. I want to see it. I want to understand it and I want to know it and I want to speak it to no one other than the members in the members forum. This is one that we are going to keep secret squirrel because Will is saying, he said, we will use every competitive edge we can get. And you're going to see us doing a lot of things differently. And he listed off everything that they're doing differently. He said there are rules in place for certain things and where there's no rules, we're going to do what we can to be elite in that area. And if you want to understand what those things are, become a member and get to the forum, people. They're really good. There are the 25 usual suspects and we show up every time and we love it. You're in good company. There's nothing bad that happens there. They're always full of great information. They are very open and they will answer the questions for us as much as they possibly can. And if they can't answer them, they tell us why they can't answer them. They say, we cannot tell you that because of this. And we all go, sure, great. It's a great place to be. I haven't had a bad forum yet, even when we're going terribly. And it still feels like a bit of a rhetoric. Still not a bad forum. So get to them.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you kind of feel like that this season that they're setting those foundations that, probably should have been there a while ago, and that they're setting those now to carry the club forward and make it long-term successful, not just this season, but moving forward. And it was one of the things that Will talked about at the Foundation members event was the sense of pride that he gets in seeing how well the Kings are doing now and knowing what they were like when he was there, when he came into that team, and seeing where they are now, and that knowing that he helped set those foundations for that club to be as successful as it has been over the past number of years now.
Wow, so in one season, he still laid foundations all that time ago. Yeah, all right, good. Yeah, every day I'm less sad about that Trevor Gleeson wasn't available just when, I really think we got the person, not that, like I said last time, I would have been stoked if it was Trevor Gleeson. And I think the universe provided us exactly who we needed in Will Weaver when they made, because Trevor was right there and that didn't work, and that's for the right reason. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. Weaver said that the immediate preseason focus was building physical effort and career best fitness by opening night, while managing normal early camp niggles and limitations. So I actually asked a question then, and my question was really deliberate. So we've heard Will Weaver say in the media that the Bullets are not going to be a high-spending team. So I just wondered, is that filtering down through the organisation? I asked a question where I said, you've gone publicly and said the spending isn't as big as other clubs. Where do you realistically see us? What's a realistic expectation for where we'll land in the season? And I asked it to Norto. I didn't ask it to Weaver because I said, Norto, with your wisdom, experience, knowledge of this league, what do you think? And I loved his answer so much. he was like, how dare you ask that question? He's like, we're not going to training to make numbers up. And he reiterated that the aim was to win a championship and that everyone's really competitive in training. So why I asked was I wanted to know if the players themselves were sitting at the place of, oh, we're not the highest playing club, nobody's got any expectations of us, we're just going to cruise along here and we'll get fit and we'll play our game and we'll take our money. Opposite of the response I got from Norto.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that Will was kind of asked a very similar question at the Foundation members event, and he's a lot more restrained, and which I quite like, because we've had other coaches in the past that are like, yeah, we'll push, we're pushing for, you know, the top, which you assume that every team goes out wanting to finish.
Nobody goes there to come last, yeah, because we don't have a draft. Because if you've got a draft, there's a point where you can go, yeah, everyone can just relax now, thanks, and we'll get the top picks next time. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been very constrained, and he said that he doesn't want to really put anything on that where we will finish. It's more about them just doing everything that they need to be doing to be competitive and, you know, putting in the work and effort. So yeah, so it's a rather refreshing kind of answer in that he answers it without really giving you where we'll finish top 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was
Yeah.
quite a nice response.
And it's kind of the right answer when you think about it. So if you're focusing on we need to be top 6 this season, then your focus is out there on the future. But if your focus is on how's our defense going to look, how are my three throws going to look, every single game, if you're focusing on what's right in front of you and you do that thing right, then the rest will look after itself. So it's actually just really clever. Again, he's just showing us time and again. So Mal came on and spoke a little bit about the money, and he said the Bullets had a lot of boundaries that some of the other clubs do not have, while stressing that this was not being offered as an excuse. They said revenue affects what the club can afford to spend and invest, and that some long-performing clubs have had significant business versus roster spend advantage for a long time. Weaver said that, in his view, a big part of his role was understanding the market, while noting that rival spending cannot be known exactly in a competitive league. He said stronger programs gain momentum through fan contributions and excitement, creating a feedback loop. He then said the Brisbane's NBL spending this season would be meaningfully higher than last season's, which was meaningfully higher than the year before. He did not disclose a dollar figure.
He had mentioned something around this as well at the Foundation member event, and it was in terms of the league and spending from when he was last here to where it is now, and how significantly higher it is across the board. So what they were spending at Sydney when he was here, you're probably looking at the lower level teams from the past season or so spending more than what they spent when, you know, they pushed for a championship. So that's how much increase has been in spending across the league, and that, you know, that's being driven by a lot of different factors, a lot of it being the overseas leagues and so forth paying more, and the NBL just needing to be a bit more competitive across that.
Yeah. And what we need to take away from that as Bullets fans, it's all good for us to sit here and go, come on, owners, you millionaire, gazillionaire people, spend more money. But what they're really talking about now, and this is where Will Weaver has come in with scientifically proven stuff and gone, well, this is what needs to happen. And part of that is that feedback loop. So the amount of people who did not sign up for memberships this year will reduce our spending. The amount of people who choose not to go to games will reduce our spending. So everything the Bullets are putting out there into the community, it's to build, they're doing a lot of things at once, and they need to build revenue, and they need to build multiple streams of revenue, because as owners and investors, they're like, yes, we'll put money in, but we can't hold everything up for a long time. This thing has to make its own money as well. It's got to be sustainable. So, you know, as fans, we've got to do our part as well. And so you can't sit there and complain about spending and not get a membership this season and go to 3 games. Yeah? So let's just hand a little bit of that back to us. Weaver went on to say, the franchise intended to be stewarded in a way that did more with less. He framed the aim as creating an upward momentum that supporters could look back on, this is what excited me, in 10 to 15 years' time as the start of an exponential ramp.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's, as head of basketball operations and head coach, he's not looking at how do I win a championship. He's like, how do we pull this club out of the rut? How do we build a foundation, and how do we get that foundation in an exponential ramp moving upwards? And by spending the least amount possible and by using everything available to us.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I just think. It's lots of really smart people in the building right now that I'm loving. Mal told us they were planning more events and engagement. So the event cinemas for some away games, venues for food, drinks, viewing, all that kind of stuff. So they'll communicate that to members in time. He completed. So our bugbear that was not in the Bullets' power to change was the members bar. It was a terrible location last time, and everyone has gone very loud on that, and so has Mal. And he said he completed a difficult negotiation, and we were like, yes, well done, win for Mal Watts.
Yes, absolutely.
Which really benefits it all, because I think they would have lost people going up to the members bar if we had gone into the hovel cave again. It was terrible.
Yep.
So he said they plan to invest more in the space, including a stage, a background, musician, Q&As and appearances by past and current players. They said we wanted to provide advance notice when special guests like Leroy would attend. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, I feel better already. It's like, yes, we'll actually be able to meet up in the members bar. And because we don't have to go upstairs or lifts or anything, so I think there's more of us that some people that sit courtside and stuff, it's like swing through the bar and say hi to us on the way through.
Yeah.
So I think it'll work a lot better.
Yeah. That space is definitely a lot more accessibility friendly.
Yeah, in every way. Chairs, tables, just everything. Yeah, so that'll be great. So there's a lot of things to look forward to this season. When asked about the WNBL team bid, Mal said, I can't say much, but expect a little bit of information in the next couple of weeks. And he said, I have a cheeky smile on my face.
Yep.
That's all I can say right now. Take from that what you will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we hear something from the WNBL. I think they usually announce if they're going to announce a new team and where it'll be. It's usually just before the start of the season. I think that's what they did last season with the Jewels. So
yeah, I have to put my 2 cents worth in here. Please don't have anything to do with guns and bullets, please, for the women's team. Nothing. You don't even need alliteration. It does not have to start with a B. Like all the great teams do not have the alliteration.
Yep. I was actually thinking about this the other day, and I would go with the Comets, just as that was the initial WNBL team from Brisbane. They were the Brisbane Comets.
I don't love it.
I quite like that. I quite like that history. And going back to that.
I like the history. Yes. Don't love the name. I'm like, what can you do with a comet? Like what? But
shooting stars.
The best I've ever seen in the business, full stop. It used to be the Croc up in Townsville. I saw a thing from him the other day. I swear to God, because I was a member there for years, and he used to come out after the games drinking. He looked like a crocodile. It's like if ever there was anyone who looked like the crocodile, it was the Croc. He was cool. He was the best in the league. Now the best anywhere in the world is New York Liberty's Ellie. So they're New York Liberty because of the Statue of Liberty. And then they've got their mascot is an elephant, Ellie the elephant. And she dresses up and she does her own walk-in with her style on, and she carries a handbag around, and she is the best in the league. People get excited about meeting her. So for the women, just want to say there is enough violence and gun violence against women. We do not need to bring bullets into anything to do with women. You do not need to use a B. Just remember that when you're doing if you're announcing, please take that into account. We do not need lady bullets at all.
Yeah.
Valkyries maybe, like there's Valkyries in the WNBA. They're amazing. I don't mind the kind of warrior woman thing, but no bullets. The other thing that I heard on social, somebody sent it to me, is we will have... So Johnny is part of the furniture now. Thank God he's not going anywhere. I think we nailed that one last season,
Yes.
Cam. We kind of drove that one home well enough. Well done us. The dance crew will not be back. It will also not be Errol, who we were hoping to come back just because of his expertise in that area, and what he was able to put together was so incredible. Becky, she was head of cheerleaders last year, and she said they're going with community dance groups and things like that, which can work.
Yeah.
Which I think can work.
Yes.
I like the idea. I think having a few pros in there would actually be a little bit better, and having them join. Anyway, we'll see what they've got.
Yes.
And then
It's
Kate
a wait
came on
see.
and talked about... Yeah, that is a wait and see, yeah. Kate then came on and talked about the replays and for the coaches' challenges on the big screen. And she said, you would think it would be easy, wouldn't you? They said they knew that clearer in-venue communication around reviews and coaches' challenges had been a talking point. She explained operational difficulties in identifying a challenge early enough to alter the arena production. She said clubs and the league were discussing it and made no commitment to a final solution. So basically what we know is that when a timeout is coming up, everyone's ready in the background, and I guess they have a keyword and they're like, we're going to this next, and everyone's ready to do that. And they usually only have a minute to do it. So they can't stop and wait and see and go, oh my God, is it a challenge? Was it a challenge? So we have to take grace with that and go, it's not that they're not wanting to do it. It's that there's an entire production happening behind the scenes that has to go in that moment. And then they're like, it's a coach's challenge. And it's like, oh, if we had known that earlier, we might have been able to pause this. So what they're looking at doing is maybe getting Adam might be the key piece to it as the courtside announcer, being able to go, the coach just challenged. And so they'll see what they can do with that. So they are working on that.
Yeah, that sounds great. At least that we know that they're working on it, and it's clearly an issue across the league, not just with the Bullets.
Yeah. I hope powers that be can make that happen. There are plenty of models around the world where it happens all the time. So I'm just surprised that it's difficult, to be honest, but I'm not in the area, so what would I know? So Mal then asked Will and said, what do you need? What do you want to say to people at home? And Will said, members, bring a friend, bring a co-worker to the early games and invite families with sport-loving children. He said the team could not promise where the ladder would finish, but believed the supporters would be proud of the group's effort. He linked bigger crowds to better chances of winning and longer-term growth of the game and franchise.
Yes, so this was, and once again, very, very similar to something that he said at the Foundation member event. And at that event, he's like, if you are seeing real change this season, if you think that there is change, then yes, bring others along with you. If you're seeing that and it doesn't just seem like the same, bring your friends to games and get them there and help increase that support there. Because as we know, that is clearly part of what is affecting their spend on our team.
Yeah.
Is we need more people.
It's not the only thing, but if it's draining at one, if they're trying to build at one end and it's draining at the other end, then that's really hard to sustain. So if we can stop the drain at the other end and we can hold, which so many of us are, we're like, God, this team sucks. Yes, membership, here's my money. Yes, we'll show up again. Yes, we'll do the podcast again. Yes, we'll carry on. So, just keep that in mind. All right, let's go to the preseason game. Bullets versus NBL1 North Select last night, Cam.
Yeah, so I liked what I saw. Velichka looking very smooth from the get-go. His court vision is absolutely elite. I think I said you could just see his awareness of where everyone was, and his vision for all of that was next level. There was a couple of little passes where you're like, I swear he wasn't even looking at that guy next to him, but yet he still was able, he knew he was there, and, little flick pass to the next guy for a score. Obviously, there's still a little bit of chemistry there, work that needs to be done between him and Tyrell. I think there were a couple of passes where Tyrell wasn't expecting it, and you could argue that some of those Arnis should have probably shot the ball. But I also think part of it is Tyrell's gotten used to being ignored on the offensive end, and so some of those passes he just wasn't expecting from Velicka.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw all of that. And yes, for the Tyrell thing. So at the start of the game, I was like, you were open, dude, and you were right near the basket. Why are you now handing off to the big man? And you know how much I love the big man to be fed. So that changed a bit during the game. I think he was just really focusing on getting Tyrell in the game. That's how I kind of saw it. And in an NBL game, like a season game, you just take the easy shot. So what excited me as well, his height, his length was just so lovely to watch. I was like, oh, we've got ourselves a point guard. We've been asking for this for 11 years, people. 11 years we've been asking for this, and I feel like our requests have finally been adhered to. It's been incredible. And what excited me was this is a preseason game. We haven't even seen the full bag of tricks yet. But I saw a player in Velicka who can just read the game on both ends. He's, like you said, court vision. Unbelievable. Absolutely magnificent and elite. The dimes were on point. His defensive timing, one-on-one, was excellent. He had 12 points, 13 assists, and 2 blocks. And so I went looking and I wonder, because he said, I love to lead the league in assists wherever I go. I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll set him a little personal challenge, shall we? Record for the most assists in a single game in the NBL is 17, and that was PJC, and it was like maybe last season or the season before, and it was against Illawarra. And in the season, so the most assists in a season is 305 for Bryce Cotton. So whilst we won't be focusing on that, because you'll be focusing on the moment, we'll be doing the math as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. I genuinely think he will get there.
I do too. Yeah. That's why I went and found them. It's like I want to know them now, because after one game, I can see. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, and as you said, he wants to be leading the league. Everywhere he goes, he wants to lead the league in assists. That's his goal. And that's so great to hear. And yeah, I'm excited to see what else he can do. I want to see his full bag of tricks as the season progresses. Yeah. And so I know it's early days, but I thought our defense looked great. It was just on point for maybe not the entire game, but there was good stretches there with it.
Yeah, I really liked it. The elastic band that we love was alive and well. The press and trap wasn't. I was like, guys, you need some work on that press and trap, which is what preseason games are for. There's nothing negative to say there. They'll get it. I have no doubt at all that they'll get it. My one little bugbear, I'm like, yes, guys, he scored like 120-something points. We all expected this to be a blowout. The expectation was blowout. But an NBL1 select team scored 81 points on you. Yep. I'm not that impressed by that. I don't think they should have scored more than 60.
I will admit I didn't think the NBL1 select team would even... I didn't think they'd get that high. I feel like they kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit, especially in that third quarter. That's where I sort of saw... I'm like, okay, it looks like they've eased up a little bit here. They're sort of in cruise mode now. So, I expect once again,
as long as that was it,
season,
then we're good.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yes, so we saw great things.
Yeah, once the season gets going, I don't think you'll see that. They won't be taking their foot off the gas, hopefully, in any of those games. And it was good to see Tyrell out there. He was definitely playing bully ball against the opposition bigs.
It makes such a difference when you get him in the game early. Like, you've got to switch him on. And to switch him on, you've got to give him the ball so he doesn't just fade out and run into spots and hope for the best. And then when the ball comes his way, he's like, what? It's coming my way. And then, Yeah.
Yeah.
So Velichka from the get-go was like, Tyrell. It was like he was waking him up and switching him on. So I thought it was great. He had that little ankle roll or whatever it was, which I was concerned for a hot minute in our chat group.
Same.
It was like, get him off. Glad to see that he was okay and came back into the game. He ended up with 24 points, 8 rebounds and 2 steals. A really nice entry back into the NBL.
Yeah, and how many dunks? I don't think I've seen him dunk it that much. So I'm expecting
He's
a lot of
7'1"
that.
inch tall. He should be dunking it every possible chance he gets, because the percentage on shot that you'll get is so much higher if you're dunking it than if you're doing it. Though he does have such beautiful soft hands for a big man.
He does.
He
does, absolutely.
It's lovely once he gets up to the rim. Not soft touch on the rim is what I should say, not soft hands. Soft touch around the rim and his shots, Yes.
Yep, and Nordo's shot was looking silky smooth from outside on the three-point line, which was amazing to see.
So it makes you wonder, when I read this in the notes, I'm like, it makes you wonder if last year it was just all that injury that his body just couldn't get back into a rhythm again. Because I noticed it too. I was like, oh, he's back. Nice. I genuinely wish that we could bottle Nordo's intensity and spread it across the team, because other players think they're being intense and then Nordo comes out and I'm like, there's just no one like him. And that's why his career has championships in it. He's an intense beast, and I love that about him when he gets out on that court.
Yeah, same. And I know you can't take too much away from, the game being a preseason game and who we were playing. But, I've watched a lot of other previous preseason games from other seasons, and what I saw was just night and day better. They came out. I didn't think they were going to take their foot off the gas at all early on. I thought they were just going to keep pushing. Like I said, I think in the third, they did finally take the foot off the gas. And they just already look like they're gelling really well together. And that's a credit to the coaching staff and what they've been able to do.
And they looked fit.
Yeah.
They didn't look like they were all heaving and putting their hand up to get off. They looked fit, which was pretty exciting too. Hinton had 22 points, 8 rebounds and 6 assists. Williams and McKinnon excited me even more with their athleticism. I am here for the athletes. And Hinton is freaking fast. And this is what I've been waiting for. I love a fast game.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Hinton guarding guys like Cotton and Davis. I think he's that fast on both ends, but defensively, I think he will probably give... And I believe he's actually played against Davis before, so he knows just how quick he is and how to play him. So, he's definitely got the speed to go with them defensively.
Yeah.
And, I just can't wait to see it.
Go with them, and if they slip past you, he's still got the height to be able to get there. Like, it's very exciting, because when, like, in the Kelsey Mitchell, it's like everyone across the board, who's the hardest person to guard? It's like Kelsey Mitchell. She's so fast, but she's also little. So if you've got that length and that speed, you're the only one who can come close. Otherwise, she just does what she wants. Okay, so let's move into the dollars. We're looking deep at the dollars this season and for the last 3 seasons. So when these numbers are released, they are for cash spend and cap spend. So I wanted to explain what cash and cap spend are, so we're all on the same page. So cash spend, this is as close to the real money a club takes out of its wallet to pay for its players and player-related costs. It's not just base salary. It can include agent fees, bonuses, some import costs, and luxury tax, but it is not the whole club budget. It doesn't tell us what the club pays for coaches, office staff, general travel, marketing, or the venue, or anything like that. Okay, so this is all about the players. So the cash spend is the total money spent. Then there's the cap spend. So this is like the NBL's fairness scoreboard. The league has rules that can make a player count for less on the cap than the club actually pays in cash. So the best example and easiest example is a marquee player. A club can pay a local star a big contract, but the rule book can give the deal a smaller cap. So that number goes down, and injuries and other player rules can also change the cap number. So that's a shifting thing as the season goes on.
Yes.
So we'll say it this way. So cash spend means what did the player roster really cost? Cap spend means how big was the roster inside the NBL rulebook. A club can have a big cash bill and a smaller cap bill. And if a club goes over the cap, it can do that, and it has to pay luxury tax, which goes into the cash spend. In every one of the last 3 seasons, which is the data I've got, I tried to go back 5, couldn't find it, so we've got last 3 seasons. Brisbane has been 8th in cash spend and 9th in cap spend, and the ladder finishes for those last 3 seasons are 7th, 8th and 10th. It's a pattern, not a verdict, but a pattern probably goes back further because we don't have numbers for too many past seasons.
Yeah.
So what I will do is I will get these tables. So I've got 3 tables for the last 3 seasons of spending, and it's got the final rank of the team, it's got the team club name, and it's got the cash spend, the rank, cap spend, and the rank, so that we can look across the board at what is actually happening. And so the biggest spenders in cash and cap in NBL24 was the Perth Wildcats, and it was massive. Did they win the championship? No. They came second on the ladder. Melbourne United ended up first on the ladder, and they were 4th in spend in both areas, so 4th in cash and cap. And the Tasmanian Jack Jumpers won that season. And they came into the league and they were 3rd in cash and cap spend. So the interesting numbers to look at, we were 8th in cash spend, 9th in cap spend. The difference between Brisbane and the top spending club, which was the Perth Wildcats, we were $848,200 less than them on cash spend. We were $706,823 less than them on the cap spend. From the champs at Tassie, we were $461,400 less than Tassie on their spend in cash, and on the cap we were $521,968 less than them on cap.
Yeah. The big one for that season that stands out to me is Adelaide being second in cash spend and cap spend and finishing in 8th.
Yeah.
So that is a clear indicator that it doesn't always mean spend big, win big.
Yeah, that's right. And that was kind of the start of that's when they started really changing things up, and that's why they've had so many coaches and things come through, because they're like, we're spending the money and we're not getting the results. So it's obviously not the quality of players that we're getting in. There's something here in our foundations that needs to move. And that's where they've always done it. And so that's why also that, the Melbourne United, Perth Wildcats, Sydney Kings and Adelaide are always the top 4 spenders, and they're always very close to the top 4 other than those anomaly years. There's an anomaly in every season, which we have to hope that we can be one. And we're looking at those because we're like, yes, choose us for this season, please. We'd like to be the anomaly. But other than that, spend does often mean they're just closer to the top. Just when you've got more money to spend, you can just bring in pieces that fit, not try and kind of work within a budget and get it kind of right and hope for the best. Yeah. All right. So in NBL 25, so the number 1 spend on cash was again Perth Wildcats. First in cap was Melbourne United. The 7th spending team, and we were 8th in this season again, and 9th. We were 8th in cash and 9th in cap. Illawarra Hawks was 7th in cash, 7th in cap, and they won the championship. And there's opposite of Adelaide. When you get the right coach, because they were terrible at the start of the season, they didn't change their team, they changed their coach, and look what happened.
Yep.
And this is why I am all for Aussie assistant coaches. But I feel like we've done our part there, and now we need people who can do that. You know, that. And, okay, and let's look at those things as well. Who won the championship? Let's keep that thread through. So Scott Roth, an American coach.
Yeah.
Illawarra Hawks, an American coach. So whilst we're here and we want to give our Aussie coaches a go, the next season we have Brian Gorgon, and he did it, but he spent a lot of time away as well. So how far were we off the difference between Illawarra and the top cash spenders? So this is, I want to show you the difference. Perth was the biggest cash spender. Illawarra was 7th. The difference between Illawarra, the champs, and the top spenders, $1,175,683 difference in their cash spend, and $632,455 difference in the cap spend. And they won the championship. Yep. So that's possible. That is possible.
It is. Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And so, as Brisbane, we were 8th and 9th in cash and cap. And so on cash, we were 1.4 million plus change away from the top spenders. And we were 786,000 change away from the top cap spenders. And Brisbane and Illawarra, the difference for us, so that we were still below the Illawarra spend. Our cash spend was 250,000 plus less, and our cap spend was 153,000 plus. You know, we could round those up more than down for those numbers. And so we were still considerably lower than, you know, the one above us. So they were 7th, we were 8th. And 9th. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let's look at last season. So, NBL26. The top spenders were the Perth Wildcats again in cash. Adelaide 36ers were the first in cap. And they were all prominent through the finals. And the winners, as we know, were the Sydney Kings. And they were second in cash and second in cap spend as well. And we were 8th and 9th in that season. The difference between us and the top spenders in cash was 1.8 million and change, and in cap it was 888,000. That's a lot of difference between us and the top team spenders, and the difference between us and Sydney was still 1.8 million, probably 1.81 million if we can round it up, and 848,000 on cap. That's how far away we were from the champions.
Yeah, yeah. And once again, you've sort of got an outlier there in those figures, and that's the Phoenix, you know, 9th in cash spend, but they finished 3rd for the season. It's a clear indicator of using your money wisely and bringing in pieces.
Yeah, and they were 5th in cap spend as well. So what they didn't do was blow out in agents' fees and luxury taxes and all the things. So they sat 5th in cap spend. So they just have someone really smart crunching some numbers down there and putting it all together.
They did, yes. Yeah, and put together a really good team at a fairly decent number. The other thing that I noticed through all of that, just looking at the past seasons, and it goes back to what Will said in terms of the spending, when you look even compared to, you know, last season compared to the season before, the top team has spent almost $1 million more from
and
NBL
that's what I want to look at as well
to 26.
Yeah. Let's do that right now. So the top spender in 24, should we? Yeah, we'll do both. So it was 3.6 million Perth for cash to 2.4 million for cash for cap, and we were at 2.8 and 1.7 million for cash and cap. The next season we were 2.5 million for cash, so we spent less in cash, and our cap spend was 1.646 million, and so
that was less as well.
We were less again. So I'm not sure we're spending considerably more in that season, but let's look for this season. And the top spenders there, so first was 3.9 million and 2.4 million. Number one there, 3.6 million, so $300,000 difference there. 2.4, that's the same, kind of the same on cap spend, so it didn't go up that much there. Should have got that. I'm running through tables here. I should have got this before. So we spent on cash last season basically 3 million, and so we spent 2.5. So you can see that that's a significant jump, which is great. Our cash spend was 1.6 last season, and this season our cash was 1.8. So we're up a couple of $100,000 there. So there is a jump there. So that is a good difference. And now let's look at the top spenders there compared to the last season. So 4.8. It
was 3.9.
Holy smokes, Batman, that's almost $1 million more, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a massive jump across the season for that first place team.
Cap spend 2.4 was first, and cap spend 2.7. So that one went up by $300,000 as well. Yeah. So we want to do this to just be really transparent about what's going on out there as far as the spends go. It's like that season thing, you know, we finish a season and we're like, oh, we're looking good this season. And then we watch other teams sign players and we're like, holy smokes, how are you meant to keep up with that? And that's where they're so far ahead and there's so much to chase in terms of spend. And then when you are a successful club, you get the better players. They know they can get the money there. They know they've got the facilities. So it's just this whole thing is they've built a program that people want to go to. And that's what we're up against every season. So it will be really interesting to see where we land this season when these numbers come out compared to like in all of those areas. How much we spend versus ranking versus where we rank on the ladder. I think it was just really interesting to take a look at all of that. And this is where we wind back to, remember Will Weaver said, Brisbane's NBL spending this season would be meaningfully higher than last season's, which was meaningfully higher than the season before, not quite. He didn't disclose a dollar figure. He did say he is going to steward this franchise in a way that did more with less. He framed the aim as creating an upward momentum that supporters could look back on in 10 to 15 years as the start of an exponential ramp. We've got to remember that.
Yes. Yeah. And that's where I pointed out Phoenix for last season as what is possible while spending less than, you know, the other clubs. It's just, it's that doing more with less.
Yeah. And the shining light is the Illawarra Hawks. 7th in spend, got a championship because their coach came in and said, this is what we're doing.
Yes.
We're getting this done.
It's certainly possible when you've got the right people leading the club, leading the players and getting them there.
And we know that coaching has been a consistent problem for us for season after season. And so that's what gives me the most hope. It's not even the players that are on the floor because we haven't had any bad players. It's like the WNBA when people try to compare women. And I'm like, they're all elite. They're in the WNBA, for God's sakes. Same as the NBL. It's like they're all elite players. They're in the NBL. So they're great. It's just, are they in the right team at the right time with the right coach to get the best out of them to be elite? Yeah. And that's what we've been missing. We really have, So it just, with all those numbers and stuff, it just goes to show the thing that has come out for me the most is coaching.
Yeah. And it's why I said it's why I said last week, and I got to say this to Will as well, is that when I looked at the team we had put together, I had some optimism there. And it wasn't until I went and sat down and looked at the coaching staff.
You know. Me too.
And it got me excited for this. Yeah, I got it. It got me excited for the season and the potential that this team has with that coaching staff leading those players. I just think it's going to be a very exciting season.
And that is why. Yeah,
I don't expect us to finish super high just because it's that first season, or chance we possibly could. But I think we will challenge every team this season and we will probably scare the league little bit more than what I think a lot of us are thinking. And or that all comes back to that coaching staff.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where we roll right back to the start when Nick said, where is the Aussie coach? I'm like, I do not care where our coaches come from anymore. Like, it is the least of on my values list. I need us to build something and win. And when this program, when they put together this elite coaching program, then you bring an Aussie in to work as like all the interns and assistants that are coming through, and then you've got to build it for them to come. I think we need to build it for them to come, but it is the least of my concerns. I don't care if they come from another planet, literally. I'm like, I want those guys, because when I read their credentials, same as you, Cam, I went, now we're talking. Now we've got something to get very, very excited about. How did Will respond when you said that to him?
He was really chuffed. He was very pleased with that comment. Yeah, he thanked me. He's just like, that's great to hear. So, yeah. I was really glad that I actually got to say that to him as well, and let him know that that's where, hopefully, not just me, but others are starting to see.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's it for another week. We got through it. We got through all the things.
We did.
Well done, everyone. Keep engaging. We love the engagement on social media. We love hearing all of your thoughts and what you are, and there's some really cool things coming in there. So please keep it coming. With any luck, we'll have time to talk a little bit more about that one day. But we wanted to get through all of this today. We don't have any games coming up this week, so we can maybe dive into that more next episode as well. But we'll have another theme for you next week that we're going to talk deeply about. I'm going to do a Will Weaver now. Please share this with your friends. If you know a Bullets fan, why not send them a link to the podcast, and why not hit that subscribe button? All of those things really help us to get this message out even further. So until then, thank you for doing that. Thanks to those in the chat group. If you want to join, hit us up. It's an awesome place to be. And we'll see you on the next episode of Bullets Nation podcast. Thanks for joining us.
See ya.